Hello guys, it's James here and welcome here to another video. Today we're going to be discussing Manchester United's Champions League group, the Carabao Cup draw, and a little bit maybe about Zlatan, maybe later on in the video we'll have to see. But Manchester United have been drawn for the group stages. Manchester United have learned their three opponents who they'll face in the group stages, where they'll try and finish in the top two to try and get through to the knockout stages, something they haven't done since like 2013. Obviously last year we were in the Europa League. Obviously, in terms of the league, we didn't finish in the top four, but we managed to qualify for this as a result of winning the Europa League. We're finally back in the Champions League. We're finally back in the elite competition. We're not in the BTEC Europa League. We're back in the Champions League. Manchester United's draw is Benfica from Portugal, Basel from Switzerland, and Moscow from Russia. Those are the three teams Manchester United have been given. I think you'd have to say generally that's a favourable and a decent draw. I think you would have to look at that and say that's good. I'm happy with the draw because you've avoided the big teams. From pot one you could have got Real Madrid, you could have got Bayern Munich, you could have got Juventus. Who else could you have got? I'm struggling to think, but you could have had difficult teams. You know what I mean? You could have had difficult teams like Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Juventus, etc. Even someone like Monaco. They won the French league last year. They're gonna be decent, aren't they? So we've avoided the big teams, but you could also say we've also avoided difficult ties elsewhere. Roma in terms of pot three. That's a difficult game. Pot four, RB Lespeg again. Another one, or Leipzig, however you pronounce it. That's another one where you would have wanted to avoid. So I think, you would have to say we've avoided the big teams. And, when you're looking at that group one, when you've got Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Monaco, who else was in that draw? Obviously Chelsea were in there, but we couldn't get them. When you're looking at that, when you're looking at the whole draw, pot one, I think you identify Benfica and you identify Spartak Moscow as the two teams you would quite like to have. I would say Benfica is probably the one team you'd quite like to have from that pot one. I think we've got a very nice pot one draw. Pot three, Basel, I think again, it's not a bad one. I think it's a little bit of one where you probably didn't want based on what's happened before against Basel. But I think again, it's one where you should say it's not a bad draw. And Moscow in pot four is probably the only bad one. I mean, I don't think Moscow at home's a problem, but it's more travelling to Moscow, maybe on a Wednesday night when you've got a game on a Sunday or something in the Premier League. But yeah, no, that for me is a favourable and a decent group. Usually to qualify you need to obviously finish in the top two, don't you? But I would say you need 10 points to finish second. You need to get, for me, I think I always say, you need to win your three home games, pick up a point away from home somewhere. For me, we should beat Benfica at home, we should beat Basel at home, and we should beat Moscow at home. If we do beat them three teams at home, we just need to get a point away, Benfica, Basel or Moscow. In my opinion, I think we can do that. I think we can win away at them. I think we should really we should aim to win 4 of the 6 matches, and I think that would probably mean that we top the group, which is obviously what we want to do. But it's good to be back in the draw. It's really good to be back in the Champions League. Champions League nights back at Old Trafford. Manchester United back in the competition. Just when you're looking at that, I was looking at that draw, and the fact is, there's so many Champions League teams who are good, but you also got a couple of Europa League teams who I recognise from last year, like Anderlecht, for example, and you're just thinking, from pot three, you wanted Anderlecht, and that says everything. Anderlecht last year, our quarter-finalists in the Europa League, caused us a bit of a difficult game. We all thought it would be a difficult game. They're the team I wanted for the Champions League group stage. That's the thing. But I think you have to look at the draw. There are 5 English teams in there. Bearing in mind we were the team who finished lowest in the league, you would expect United to have got the hardest draw. You would say that we've got an easier draw than City, an easier draw than Tottenham, and an easier draw than Chelsea, which isn't really fair because you would imagine that Chelsea should get an easier draw. So Manchester United were put into the coefficient pot 2 because of the sort of how it's happened before. But when Chelsea are in pot 1, you'd expect them to get a harder tie. But as I said, we've got an easier tie than City, Tottenham, and Chelsea. You'd probably say Liverpool got more of a nicer draw than United. But what I would like to say is don't get overconfident. I've seen loads of people saying easy win. We're going to win all 6 games. We're going to get 18 points whatsoever. We must be cautious. 5-6 years ago, when we had Sir Alex Ferguson back in charge, we actually went out in the group stages when we had Benfica and Basel in the draw. Yeah, we had Benfica and Basel 5-6 years ago in the Champions League group stages, and we finished behind both of them and ended up finishing third. You know what I mean? So we don't want that. And you could also say that time we had Benfica, Basel, and Ottolu Galati. Moscow are more of a threat than Ottolu Galati. So we've got a more difficult group than we had 5-6 years ago when we finished third. And don't forget, that we've struggled against Benfica and Basel before. That's all I'm saying. Don't get overconfident. But really, we should top it. But second wouldn't be a disaster. I was also going to touch on our Carabao Cup game. We have got Burton in the next round 3 of the Carabao Cup. It's basically the League Cup, EFL Cup, that sort of thing. It's a declining competition. It's the Mickey Mouse Cup, really. It's not the best one. FA Cup, much better. Then obviously the Premier League and Champions League are the top 2. But yeah, we've got Burton at home, which is a nice draw as well for United. Hopefully we'll see some Pereira and stuff like that. And also Zlatan has also signed a new 1-year deal at United, so we'll see him back in action when he comes back from injury. But that is my reaction to the draw. A very good one. But thank you for watching. See you later.